3, 2, 1, go.
Hello, hello. This is Ignacy and Portal Games.
And this is the Podfather of Gaming, Stephen Bonacore. You are listening to Board Games Insider, episode 229, and we're recording it just days after our last episode, which we recorded now on March 2nd, 2022. Board Games Insider is a proud member of the Dice Tower Network, and Tom Vassell, I am sure, joins Ignacy and Stephen in our condemnation of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, as we all stand together, the free peoples of the world, with the Ukrainian people in their hour of need. Please support the humanitarian efforts in the Ukraine now. And Ignacy, it's only been a few hours since episode 228 dropped, where we had a very impassioned plea about this whole thing, and your English was very spot on and beautiful. In my tears, I came through a lot there, but it's been great, and I've been posting on Facebook to make sure people know and have the links that they can support the Ukrainian people. And we don't want to go on about this too much, but it's important that we at least bring this up, and then we can move forward with the business of gaming.
Correct.
And now, tell us about Portal Games.
Yeah, this is. I must be Slavic. This is terrible. What's terrible? For the past 2 years, we are discussing this crazy thing that the board game industry is growing, but the COVID is terrible. And now, on one hand, we are discussing terrible things that are happening in Europe with the war. And I have this amazing announcement, and this is very difficult to be excited about these new games announced while there is a war. But let me be excited for the moment, and let me try to excite you. This Monday, we announced Turgal, the board game. And I know many of our listeners, I guess including Steven, have no clue what's Turgal.
No clue.
No clue. So let me explain. I have some data here with me to help me out with this situation, because Turgal is the biggest comic series in Europe.
Wow.
So guys, if you a couple of years ago never heard about The Witcher, and then there was this video game Witcher, and then there was this Netflix show Witcher, and you figure out, hey, there's these very interesting stories in Poland, Turgal is the same case. This is one of the biggest comic series in Europe. It was translated into 21 different languages, 14 million books sold. The series has 39 books in the main series, and it has, be with me, 3 spin-off series, 3 different spin-off series. So this is like a huge comic book here in Europe. In Europe, especially in France and in Poland, fans got crazy about this announcement. Our task for America is now to educate you how amazing this comic series is, and let you discover this beautiful world. In a few words, this is a Viking series. The Turgal is a Viking, and he has different adventures over all this comic series. He has a beautiful wife, Arika. He has a son, and he's a good guy. He's like a really, really good guy, always trying to help other people, and every story is about him getting in trouble because he's too good. Beautiful series, as I said. It's almost 40 comic books, huge stuff. And for upcoming months, we will educate you in America and different parts of the world. How cool is that? Check out, of course, you can already check the comic and buy it in your local game store, comic book store. It's amazing. I strongly recommend. I have all these albums at home because I love the series. So very proud that we are doing here in Europe the board game based on the biggest comic book series in Europe. So this is Turgal, the board game. The game will be story driven. You will have adventures. There's 10 different scenarios in the game, and each of these scenarios is completely different, fun stuff. So this is what we announced on Monday.
Very cool.
As for the bragging, and once again, super uncomfortable, because the whole brag section was this silly idea to brag about the crazy things. But today I want to be serious, because since last week we raised over almost $20,000 to help Ukraine. So this is like a serious brag. Like we are doing a great job, and I want to thank all the geeks who transferred the money to us, and we are transferring it further to the humanitarian organization. So for the whole year, I can be silly Ignacy and bragging about silly stuff, but this once a year, something very, very serious, $20,000 and go to buy blankets and flashlights and medical stuff. So important things to help these people who are in trouble. As for the pre-orders and street dates, Gutenberg still on pre-order. And don't even start me talking about the delays, ships, ports, but we had some adventures and the container didn't leave the port as planned. Yeah, it happened. So it will be delayed a little bit. So it's good for news for you. You can still pre-order. So Gutenberg, amazing Euro game from Poland. And as we are recording, it is not open yet, but I have everything green lighted and ready. That this Friday, when we are recording it, so a few days ago, as you are listening to this, we opened pre-orders for Batman. Everybody Lies, my detective game. So check out portalgamesus.com. So I'm doing my absolutely beloved comic book Batman, and now I announced the biggest comic book series from Europe. I love my comic books, and I love my dream job creating games in these beloved universes. You can go to portalgamesus.com and grab a Batman in special edition with the notepad, with the newspapers. You will see all the additional stuff. We always do it.
Awesome.
For you, the pre-order will last for 2 weeks, and you will have fun.
Awesome.
As for the what's happening at Portal Games HQ, we just released this Monday Moloch Monthly. A reminder, this is a free magazine about the board games. We have promised interview with Mr. Steven Bonacor for upcoming issue, but right now we have very interesting interview with Marcin Świerkot, CEO of GameFound.
Excellent.
And we have lots of articles, 46 pages, free content for you, so download it for free. And what I'm doing, Dune, everywhere Dune, all around me, Dune. We need to send to Dune, sequel to the Dune in March to print. So I'm sitting in the office right now. It's 6 p.m. Finishing. Amazing time, super tired, but super proud of what we have here. So
and if people want to see you holding up those things, maybe they can get a glimpse of what is on there. They got to watch the YouTube channel because he's holding things up on the screen.
Please don't, because
you get in trouble.
Yeah, because I just saw that I showed the document with the title, and the title is officially not announced. We are announcing it in March, so please don't go to YouTube this time, or close your eyes at least at this moment.
Or just don't tell anybody what you saw. There you go.
I remember a few years ago you were in trouble when you said something in the podcast.
Oh, don't even.
Terraforming, right?
Oh my goodness.
Maybe now I will be in the trouble.
Terraforming Mars Legacy. I got in so much trouble when I started to. But hey, it hasn't happened yet, so I was lying. Yeah. Was I lying?
So yes,
no, I don't know.
For the split second I showed you the title of the game that is not yet announced. Please don't watch it. Anyway. Trying to be positive, amazing things happening in the company, amazing games in preparation. So on one hand, please be positive and support Ukraine, and then if you do a good job, then be positive about board gaming and be positive all the time.
There you go. There you go. So over with the Podfather of gaming, Ignacy, I'm so sorry. I have to inform you that I had great news this morning. My bifold doors for all my closets are in for my upstairs renovation. So it's getting that much closer. I was on the phone as I hold up my phone here. I was on the phone for a while, making sure that the delivery was going to happen. Paula had to be there, and all. Where are we going to put the darn doors when they show up? And they should be starting.
So they are delivering the doors when you are not at home?
Yes. Well, Paula is there. Paula is actually there.
So close to accident.
Yeah, Paula did not come on this trip with me. So she's there to get them, but where we're going to put them because the contract is not there. So I was organizing that literally a half hour before this. So still, they're not installed, and we're still waiting on a few more regular doors, but we're getting that much closer to the finishing. We had our first outdoor barbecue and party when I think I mentioned that friends Dan and Julie Luxembourg and Corey Thompson were over for a week, and that was wonderful. Just hanging out poolside and by the fire pit, and it was really nice. Finally having people over to do all of the, experience all of the nice things that we have done. Of course, I was on the Dice Tower cruise just 2 weeks ago, and now at Dice Tower West here in Las Vegas, and you can see my messy bed right behind me.
When
I did
it
not make
starts,
the bed.
it already started?
Technically, it starts at 10 a.m. local time today, which is
okay.
in about an hour, 50 minutes. It'll be starting. People are already, starting to be here and starting to game and stuff like that. But the convention starts in just a little bit, and it's going to run fully through Sunday. Going to have a lot of fun hanging out with people, gaming, and experiencing my favorite city maybe in the world, Vegas, baby, Vegas. I love Las Vegas, as you all know.
This is one of the situation when we differ so much. Like for me, Vegas is a horror, like so much noise, so much crowds. The city is open all day long. There is like no way to be some silent moment. I don't want to say it, but I hate Vegas.
We are different people, even though, when
this is like another example, like how different. It's amazing.
We are very different people, as people probably can figure out. After this, I get home for a week of peace, and then some good friends of mine come down from New Jersey for a week. It's going to be so much fun. And then Paula and I head off to another cruise, just the two of us together. We're going on the Wonder of the Seas, the newest and largest cruise ship in the world. Can't wait to do that and see how they've remodeled that ship. And then we roll to the Gathering of Friends in early April. Ignacy, are you going to be able to go this year, or
Daniel,
you have to pass?
We decided that Daniel will come. We were not sure about the border things and COVID. It was too early, so I contacted Alan. This year I will pass, and I want Daniel to be there, so you will play with her some games.
Danielle is amazing. Love her. So yeah, look forward to hanging out a little bit in gaming. Yep. We've never gamed together, but definitely look forward to doing some of that. That'll be excellent. That's it for now. Let's go over to the event deck.
But I have a question. Like each time I'm in a hotel, I have some small crappy window, and I see your room. Like, what the hell is that? Like, this is like some apartment for the guests of honor, or what?
I might have upgraded my room a little bit here.
A little bit. Like when I'm in a hotel, I have like a window that looks like a half a meter against half a meter, and that's all.
It's pretty amazing. It's a very large room. It's got a view of the Strip, the Las Vegas Strip. So straight out there, I see the Envoy. The Encore and the Wynn. This is the hotels I stay at often here. Treasure Isle and the Mirage. Oh yeah, it's kind of a nice room, but they were so cheap here, so I upgraded myself. I know how to live. Let's go to the event deck. All right, Ignacy's being silly, but interesting news we have here in the board gaming business world. This was a kind of it's not a rumor. It's definitely something that is being pushed, but WotC, Wizards of the Coast, may be spun off from Hasbro. Is that possible? So here's the story. Alta Fox Capital Management, which owns 2.5% of Hasbro stock, is sending a letter to Hasbro stockholders urging a spinoff of Wizards of the Coast, which it argues would be worth as much as all of Hasbro on its own, potentially therefore doubling the value of Hasbro shareholders. The Wall Street Journal reported Hasbro's market capital, that's the amount of money that all of their outstanding shares are worth, is currently around $13 billion US. As a way to gain a voice for its views, Alta Fox is nominating 5 directors to the Hasbro board of directors. The board will be elected at the company's annual meeting this spring. Now, this is all kind of hard maybe for people to understand, but this company that only owns, it's air quotes, 2.5% of the stock, which is a significant amount if you think it's 13 billion outstanding, they're trying to push. They're making an activist statement, not activist the way that sometimes you hear people are doing an environmentally activist thing. They're doing an activist. They want Hasbro to change the way they're working, break the company off into 2 parts: the hobby gaming section, hobby and digital gaming, which is all hobby, and their mass market stuff. And they believe it's going to double the value of the company. Will that happen? Will they be able to do it? We don't know, but we're going to stay tuned. And will it actually double the value? Sometimes that actually does happen. Interesting to see if that would happen in this case.
Yeah, I saw interview with the owner of this company that is trying to do that, and he was explaining that WotC is growing like crazy. It has better management. Of course, it changed right now, but basically they said Hasbro have no clue what's going on in the world right now. Hasbro hasn't grown and hasn't adjust to the situation, while WotC is doing that. And he said like Hasbro is slowing down the growth of the WotC. He said he wants WotC to be on its own to grow as it grows, but even faster.
It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. We won't have more news on this until probably into the next quarter, when we see what happens with the board of directors of Hasbro. So here's an interesting thing. You know, we've been talking about these NFTs and blockchains and all this new stuff that's happening. Chaosium has made a statement saying no to future NFTs. Now, Ignacy, you posted this. Do you want to summarize this for us? Yes. What they're saying?
Yeah, basically, what I learned is that when the NFTs became a thing, Chaosium thought it is trendy, it is interesting, fans will enjoy that, and they announced that fans can buy the items with the Chaosium brand. It was done by some third-party company that was selling these NFTs based on the Chaosium brand. But because there's a lot of discussion around NFTs these days, they spend a lot of energy, and you know they're not good for environment, and basically this is like a scheme, etc., etc. I don't want to go into details to not put us in the trouble. Anyway, Chaosium said we wanted to do something cool and be trendy, but it is just making us not seen well by the fans. So we didn't want to earn on this, and we back off, and we will not continue. And they announced that they are splitting the contract with this third-party company, and they will never do it again. And they said very, very sorry to the fans. So basically, it looks like their marketing said, "Hey, let's go to the NFTs because it's trending." And then they saw board gamers not very happy with that, and they say, "Well, we are not doing it anymore." So sometimes companies want to do something that is popular on social media,
and then all of a
they
sudden
then regret.
Yep. And as we may have mentioned, there are a number of people who have come out and said NFTs are a scam and stay away from them. You get no rights to anything when you buy an NFT. You literally get a token. So buyer beware. I would personally avoid NFTs completely for multiple reasons, including the fact that they can be considered a scam. The next thing's interesting is another article on Hasbro. Hasbro revealed its board game plans for 2022. Hasbro has announced plans for new tabletop games releasing this year, including twists on classic games, Clue, Connect 4, Monopoly, and games featuring licensed IPs, Bridgerton and Fall Guys. Combining the classic whodunit with escape room challenges, Clue Treachery at Tudor Mansion Escape and Solve Mystery Game, oh my God, that's a long title, has players trapped in the infamous mansion where Mr. Body is murdered. They must work together to escape while identifying the killer. Features a modular board. Players explore as they go along, 1 to 6 players, ages 10 and up. MSRP only $16.99. Ignacy, so most of these are basically more things in their mass market line, but this one that I just mentioned definitely sounds more gamerly than the Monopoly World Travel Tour and Monopoly Fall Guys edition. That's kind of just sounds kind of silly.
I have a long comment here, so please be careful and stop me when we are in trouble.
Okay.
So first of all, I think because they posted a video trailer. I don't know if you saw this trailer, but it's like a video on YouTube that you can watch our plans, things are happening, covers are showing up, like fancy stuff. From all this video, the things dedicated to us geeks, the WotC stuff, Wizard of the Coast stuff, is shown on this video for less than 1 second. And I know it because I was writing a news for Moloch Monthly because we have a news column there, and I wanted to do a print screen. Dude, I spent like a half an hour trying to, click in the right moment to have the cover, because in the video they announced a new starter for Dungeons and Dragons, which is a big thing, as you can know. New starter for Dungeons and Dragons is a big thing.
Huge.
But it shows on a screen for the less than 1 second. This is insane. And on one hand, we may make fun of that, but on the other hand, we just reported that there is this company who says Hasbro have no clue what's going on. Hasbro has no clue what's bringing money, and they want to get WotC outside of the Hasbro. So this trailer shows it in a full glory, like from all the things that Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering bring to the table as money for the Hasbro, they spend less than 1 second to show it. So it was very funny. And that reminds me that in a Moloch Monthly, I started a news column. So if you want more Slavic Ignacy in your life, you can read them, because most of these news items have my commentary. And I hope I will not get in trouble in that, but I had a lot of fun writing this news with my personal comments. Anyway, a new starter for Dungeons and Dragons. This is important for all of us, because it will bring lots of attention to the game, and the rest of them, well.
Yep, there you go. I mean, maybe I'm going to join those activist investors and try to get WotC spun off on its own company. I think you're right. That's another just good example of the whole thing. But remember, the new president, the CEO of Hasbro, was the president of WotC. Yep. So who knows?
We will see the next year's trailer if he changes the trailer for the next year.
Maybe he'll have something. That's right. So we reported not too long ago that the New York Toy Fair was canceled this year. It happens in the beginning, middle of February. It is the largest toy fair in the world. It focuses on, the mass market and toys and games for children mostly. Very little of it has to do with hobby games, though there is a couple of aisles in this huge convention for hobby gaming. They canceled. Now they're moving it this year and making it part of a thing that they did in Dallas anyway at this time of year in September for the 20th to the 22nd, and maybe moving it there permanently. Interesting that, and the reason this is even a thing, right? Like, again, it's not that big of a deal, this thing for hobby gaming, but if they move this to September, and you move it permanently to September and in Dallas, that means that anything being shown off there, what's going to happen? That's not games for the current year. That means it's games that you've got to get people excited about a year later, because you're showing things that people can start buying. And by September, it's already kind of too late to be pushing the holiday season. So that's the big takeaway here, that they're going to be forcing people, retailers, because that's the big market. The retailers come to meet with publishers and people who make toys. They're going to force people to be thinking a year plus in advance. Ignacy?
This is exactly what I was going to say. I will try to say it in super simple words. In Nuremberg and Toy Fair are happening at the beginning of the year, so all the toy industry can prepare for the Christmas season. And now if they move to the September, as you said, it is too late to plan what you will have in your store or in your distribution, what toys you will have. So it is exactly very, very strange decision. As you said, if you are checking the new toys, new fun stuff in September, you will not have it in your distribution and in your toy stores in November. So it is for the next year. So I don't believe it will be a permanent change. I believe these shows must happen at the beginning of the year, so the whole industry have time to prepare, to stock, and to distribute the items.
Exactly. The Game Designers is a movie now free for you to watch on YouTube. This has been 3 years in the making. It features interviews with many noted game designers and some less noted designers. The first person that shows up on this movie, called The Game Designers, is Tom Vassell. Very interesting, right? He's talking about the industry and the games that are out there. but it was just announced. This has been 3 years in the making. It's directed by Eric Rail, produced by Scott Alden, Aldi of Board Game Geek, and it's available for you to watch. Now, I had seen preview of it in the past. I highly recommend you go checking it out. Just Google or go onto YouTube and check out The Game Designers. Look for that, and you'll see it right now free on YouTube. It's a very, very good watch, the parts that I have seen. Ignacy, have you seen this yet?
No, I haven't. We have a question to Aldi. This very important question: why there is no Ignacy in this movie? Is this a sequel planned? The sequel will be better. Like, what's the story here? Like, why we are missing Ignacy in this movie?
There's no Stephen Bonacor in there either, who could have been commenting on the industry. There's no Podfather.
Dear Aldi, please prepare a sequel.
So he produced it. Eric Rail. It's a documentary, and he wrote it and got it all together. Aldi became a producer, and I forgot why and what he ended up doing for the movie. But you're right. I think they need more and other important people to show up.
Famous Polish designers, Slavic perception. Like this movie is missing some context, but I hope for the sequel.
Yes, absolutely.
On a serious note, I'm going to watch it, obviously, and I believe it is amazing. We will see.
Yes, I absolutely think that everyone should check it out. In the meantime, let's take some questions in strategy and tactics. All right, so we have Aaron Slaby, who's at Slaby on BGG, and he asks, how do you decide when to remove a game from your collection? I have a hard time getting rid of games that, though they may not get played often, they still have a unique experience or maybe a sentimental value. Ignacy, I have a very specific way these days. So how do you do it? Do you remove games? How do you remove games?
I don't.
You never do. You've never.
Of course, I don't like the game. It is not in my collection. I played it once and I get rid of it. If I like the game, if it is in my collection, it stays. I made a couple of mistakes when I got rid of the game that I liked, and then I was regretting, and I was hunting it down on a second-hand market. So now I have a lot of games at home, but I also have a special room in the office here at Portal Games headquarters. So I have no limitation of the room. I can store as many games as I want. So I learned my lesson. If I like the game, I don't want to get rid of it because I will regret it.
That's a good way of doing it. I have a very specific way now because I think I've shown pictures to people out there. If you haven't seen them, look at my Facebook page. And I've shown what my game wall looks like. It's 5 5x5 Calexes, right? That is my space. Oh, and above that a little bit, I just added 5 1x4 Calexes on top of that to organize what they look like so I can put the big games in there. That is my 100% limit on the games that I'm going to keep in my collection. Now I sort of have, and it's full, basically full. Sure, there's a little space for one thing here, and I have to reorganize it because the games aren't in the right places. But I have I now have a one game in, one game out thing. And if I upgrade a game, I then get rid of the original game. Like I backed 51st State, right? On GameFound.
I appreciate that.
So my current 51st State, when I get that will leave, right? And I'm not throwing it in the garbage. I will give it to somebody if they'd like it. I'll bring it to a convention and just put it on the table for people to take it, things like that. That's my way now. And, you know, I know that's not for everybody, of course, but I think it's at least an interesting way of doing it. And I have certain fundamental, like, sentimentality for certain games. Like I have all of the games, or almost all the games of the Fantasy Flight Silver line. I don't know if you remember that. That was a small box collection.
Drakon, Cave Troll,
yes,
obviously.
Yes.
Kingdoms.
Quicksand. I just played that recently. I haven't even played most of them. A lot of them are in shrink wrap, but I have a sentimentality for them. So I like them all sitting there together on the shelf, and I leave them there. So
I'm with you, and I do have this. I have not all of them, but I have 3 of them still at my collection as well.
I've got 12 of them, give or take. Kirk W., who's the corset maker. Love it. I'm an American who has been living in Germany for almost 6 years, and I am still trying to understand the German board gaming market. Perhaps it is only my experience or perception, but it seems that a game can only be distributed here if it has a local publisher. in your experience as game publishers, is this normal business practice for most countries? For me, it feels almost as if there is some sort of secret cartel protecting German publishers from foreign competition. Ignacy, there isn't. Obviously, most things in German stores would be in German, and as an American publisher, I didn't normally translate a game. People in other countries can, of course, get my games and your games by hitting Amazon and the big online web sites, but the local stores, you don't blame them for not necessarily having an English game or having a Polish game, right? So
for markets that are well growth, like they are very big, like Polish, French, German, Italian, there is so many publishers who bring all these biggest titles in the local language. There is no shelf space and no need from the customers to have more games in English. Like they already have everything in German, everything in French, everything in Polish. So obviously there are some stores in Poland and in France and in Spain that are specialists in importing English copies. But the market for that is like 100 gigs, 150 gigs, because all of other gamers, they go to their local game store, they have hundreds of games in their own language, and they are not looking for this another one that was not translated.
Sure.
For the countries that they don't have such a big market, smaller countries that not all these games are translated, then in these countries there's more and more English copies. So for instance, I, as a Portal Games, we sell English copies of our games in Romania, in Czech, in Bulgaria, in different countries that they don't have local publishers, so the geeks must buy English editions. And I guess it was true for you that you were also selling some English copies in the countries that are not English-speaking countries, but the geeks had the only chance to buy these games like that because there was no local partner.
Right, exactly. I was going to add Hungary to that list. All these smaller countries without necessarily a local partner, they just don't have enough market to do an actual publication in their language. You can find English copies there more frequently than in a big country like Germany, who has a German partner. A Board Game Family, who is at Board Game Family, they ask, or he or she, could you either lengthen the podcast or make a couple special strategy and tactics episodes where you catch up on these questions? Well, guess what? We've been doing it. Your insights are quite interesting to hear, but there's a huge backlog of questions at the beginning. And it's asking us to do this. Now, by the way, we are less than 1 year behind. That's not too bad. This question that you put up there is from May 5th, 2021. So we're making progress. We were 2 years behind at one point, but we're taking more questions. We appreciate it. I predict, here's another prediction from the Podfather, we're going to run out of questions before the end of this year, unless we run another one of our special, things to give away games. Then all of a sudden people come out of the woodwork and they start putting questions up there. So we're going to run out of questions soon, guys. I bet. Jen B, who's at Socks Rule, I love when people create these little monikers. Question 1. The pandemic has obviously changed how board game companies do business in 2020 and 2021. Do you think these changes will still be kept post-pandemic? Ignacy, do you think we have permanent changes to the way game companies do business?
Yes, for some things we learned some new tricks. Some things as soon as possible we will get rid of, but some things will stay with us. The few perfect examples that I was showing for the past few months is the game designers and the publishers are sending to the publishers e-versions of the prototypes through the tabletop simulator or Tabletopia. It changed the industry a lot. It is so much easier now to check the game prepared for the other designer or publisher now on Tabletop Simulator. You remember you were always saying that at Alan Moon's Gathering of Friends, you were playtesting all these prototypes from Germany because it was the only way to meet with German publishers. And now they would send you just a link and say, hey, let's meet on a Zoom and play this game. So this is a huge change that I see every week. My employees are playing on Tabletop Simulator prototypes of upcoming games. Also, we are now hiring much more open for the people from different cities in Poland, because there's so much more done on Zoom or Skype or other platforms. So we get open-minded for the hiring people from different cities. So yes, there is a lot of changes, and they improved the companies.
Jen also asked, to what extent do companies prepare for unexpected events, everything from hurricanes to pandemics? I think, Jen, the answer is, I mean, we can't do anything any more than, you know, the bigger companies, of course, right? So with hurricanes, you know when they're coming. You close your office, you know, or things like that. You move people out of the area that might be affected. Games themselves are held in big warehouses that are not owned by us normally, so we don't worry or can't really worry about those. We can't do much. And of course, you know, hopefully this pandemic is once in 100 years, so none of us will be talking about the next pandemic after that. Ignacy, I don't think there's anything else to add to that. What do you think?
I think that for the things that are happening lately in the world, no insurance company was prepared for. So like these unexpected events are really, really unexpected, and you just pray to survive.
Yep. And I just want to go back to what you said a second ago about the changes with the online, bringing games to publishers now using an online mechanism is going to continue to be huge forever. That might be the single biggest change in the way the flow of things happen within the industry. Most publishers now, I bet, are not meeting at conventions, because a lot of them are not going to conventions, or they have cut back on conventions. Now you submit the game in a similar way, right? You create your sell sheet, create a prototype, hopefully a digital prototype, as well as physical maybe. And you go talk to the publisher via their standard way. And when the publisher wants to see it, you can show it to them on Zoom and potentially using the electronic means that we have out there, like Tabletop Simulator, or maybe just, you know, using Zoom and putting your camera down so you can show people how to do it. That's going to be the single biggest in the flow of how games work, in my opinion. But now we're going to have to move on to another special segment. And I'm sorry about that, guys. We won't continue doing this forever, but this we need to do. So we're not going to do playtesting again. We apologize. We're going to go to a special segment, and Ignacy, take us away.
Yep. And as always, I will try to be super clear, but if I need a translator, Steven Bonacore, to explain my thoughts, I need your help, friend.
Yes.
So if you see that I'm losing my thought, help me.
You got it.
First of all, I wanted to say that what I'm going to say right now is my reaction to the announcement from Stonemaier Games, because I quite disagree with their statement. But before I start disagreeing with Jamie, I want to say very clearly, I super appreciate him. I super respect him. I super appreciate Stonemaier Games, what they did for the industry for years. He's an amazing person. And so this is disagreement of opinions, but nothing more than that. I want to be very, 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 very clear. And what is even more, I don't even say that I am right. I'm just wanting to present a different opinion. So it is your guys' decision to think the conclusions, but I just want to say that I disagree with Stonemaier Games. And
I think before you even say what it's about, I think that it's fair that we can have a dialogue like this where we have two different opinions. No one is going to have, if anybody has an opinion that Russia was moved into the Ukraine in a responsible manner, they're doing the right thing. Well, that's not an opinion. That's horrible. Go away. Stop listening to us. Or if you don't care about the people of the Ukraine, go away. Stop listening. However, the way that we can act now that this is happening, that is a matter of discussion. Where do we send money? Who do we help? How do we do things? And the way that our businesses can react to this, that's a matter of opinion. So Ignacy, go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you there. Go right ahead.
Yeah, exactly. I need this translation support. So to give everyone context, the Stonemaier Games announced that they are cutting off all economic ties with their Russian localization partners. And why I a little bit disagree with this decision, and this is due to support to support to Ukraine. We are supporting Ukraine, so my organization is saying, and they're saying to support Ukraine, we'll cut off all the ties with Russian publishers. I will start with the letter. And to explain how I got this letter. For the past week, I'm working very, very strong to support Ukraine, and I'm very, very vocal about the conflict. And basically, lots of people know me, and I'm pretty popular on Twitter, etc., etc. So I was reached by the gamer. This is a Portal Games fan. He buys stuff from our web store, so we recognize him as a customer because he bought so many games from us that we recognize him. I don't know him personally, but I recognize him that he is not like a random troll. This is a person who is in a business relation with my company for a couple of years, buying games from us, and he wrote things like that. It's hard to wish you a good day because the days are not good since 23 of February, but I read Jamie Stelgmeyer public announcement and I felt that I have to write to you. I know that since 1945, Poland has nothing to thank Russia for. I know that when you guys read today's news, you find even less things to be fond of our autocratic country. But my personal sin is only that I was born here and that right now I'm not beaten and detained after the anti-war demonstration. The same for other board game fans. Reason why I'm writing to you this letter is to ask you to please not give up on us. If Portal will cut relations with Russian publishers, you will stop shipping us the projects that we backed. Many of your fellow citizens will praise you for this, but it will not help to stop the war. If Portal wants to do something rather than just watch homes being shelled while sending parcels to the most hated country of the world, please address your Russian fans. Tell them that you know that Russians are not Putin and that you will not give up on them just because their country is ruled by a man who locked himself in a bunker. Ask them to make few, not dangerous things which will help to stop this war. To sign a petition to change, and he gave me a link to post it, to write a random member of parliament. Yes, they're all corrupted and they will not care, but the more of us will write, the more they will see that the state-owned opinion poll agency is not knowing what is happening in the country. To donate to the charity which helps Ukrainian refugees and provide healthcare in zone of conflict. Thank you if you've read this far. I'm sorry for what's happening. And this is a letter of average Russian person, a geek, a board gamer, who is living in Russia because he was born there, and this is not his choice. This is what happened in his life, and he's now one of the most hated persons in the world because we now all hate Russians because they attack. So once again, I wanted to say very clearly: we support Ukraine, we transfer money to Ukraine, but it doesn't mean that we need to hate all Russians. This is a regime, the Putin's regime who is attacking. There are probably many bad Russians, that's for sure. But we cannot say that everyone is bad. Everyone, we need to cut them off. And this letter from him made me to make this statement that I know that Jamie wanted to do something good, but without understanding the concept, maybe he's not doing something good. Maybe he should not stop working with Russian publishers. Maybe he should take the income he gets from these localizations and transfer to Ukrainian, and this is doing good. And I wanted to give also the context because it may be important for you in the Western countries. I was born in a country, Poland, that in 1976 was occupied by the Russians. I was in a country that was occupied. Russians get off from Poland in 1989. So, and when I was 13 years old. So my first part of the life was in a country with the Russian soldiers. I was forced in the school to learn Russian. I can speak Russian, not too much, but I can say, Меня зовут Ignacy, я живу in Gliwice. Like I can speak Russian because I was forced to that as a kid. So yes, I am not a big fan of Russia in general because that was our childhood. We were forced by them to different things. But yet I do understand that the regime and the regular people, these are two different things. And I wanted to give like a maybe fun and maybe controversial, but just an example how we can look at this from the different perspective. can we say that all the Americans don't respect a woman because you guys say grab them by the pussy?
Oh,
No, you
Jesus.
understand. Yes, you understand that this is some moron, some idiot who said that, and this is not Americans, right?
Please, Matthew, bleep that. Oh God. Yes. Yes.
This is leaders or politicians doing something super stupid, but this is not true for the average American who is. I met so many of you, you're amazing people. So once again, just to stop it, because I think that everyone gets my point. We need to support Ukraine and be careful with hating other people, because it is not all of them are bad.
And if you think about it, it's at least some similarities to when the coronavirus, we called it COVID-19, came out of China. There was a backlash against all Chinese in this country.
Yeah.
People started hating Chinese. They wouldn't eat Chinese food. I'm like, guys, you know, hate or be against the country, the people who are running this that would do such horrible things. Russia, the government is corrupt. They're horrible people. The government people, Putin is a horrible human being. He needs to be stopped. If you can't do it, that exactly, let's help Ukraine to help themselves. That's where we go with this. And by the way, at least one Russian publisher, Cosmodrome,
we have official statement from them that they
condemn the invasion.
Yep.
Will they be arrested now? I hope not, but
yeah, this is the things that, as I said, my childhood, and I don't want to make some myths, but basically I know a little bit more than you guys. Cold War, I was in this Russian side. Living in a country that is not free is quite a difference than living in just America. It is so easier for you guys to have this perspective. And in Russia, you have different opinion, you go to jail. This Putin guy is in a charge for 20 years. It is not because he's winning elections. It is because the elections is rigged. And you totally. have to understand that these regular people, it is not easy to change the government,
right,
if they have tanks and soldiers.
Exactly. And with that, let's go to final scoring. Thank you so much for listening. Help us spread the word about this podcast by telling your friends to download Board Games Insider wherever they like to get their podcasts, or now watch Board Games Insider on the Podfather of Gaming YouTube channel. To ask us questions for our strategy and tactics segment, and we'll take more and more of those, I promise, you must post them in the correct thread in our Guild on Board Game Geek. To answer our question to you from playtesting, also go to our Guild on Board Game Geek and look for the thread with this episode's question. It'll come back next week. Board Games Insider has a Facebook page, so please like us on Facebook. Also on Facebook, please like Ignacy's page and Steven's page /PortalGamesUS and /Podfather Gaming. Our websites are portalgamesus.com and podfathergaming.com. Please go there, sign up for the newsletters, get up-to-the-minute information on what's happening at Portal Games and with the Podfather. On social media, speak directly to Ignacy and Steven. On Twitter, it's @PortalGamesUS and @PodfatherGaming. Same on Instagram. And on YouTube, the channel names are Portal Games Movies, Portal Games Gameplays, and The Podfather of Gaming. Check out Ignacy's dancing on TikTok, Portal Games US. We hope to see you at an upcoming convention in 2022. We really want to get you guys back and doing things with us. Board Games Insider was professionally edited by Matthew Jude from This Game is Broken podcast. If you'd like him to edit yours, please contact him on Twitter or email at thisgameisbrokenpodcast@gmail.com. Also, that great voice you hear doing the intro, outro, and in-between segments is that of Ray Greenlee. He can be contacted to do voiceover work at raygreenleevoiceover.com. Ignacy, what you right here? What kind of new stuff you want to put out?
I want you to find out, look in the internet for the video that I'm preparing right now. And if you find it, please share it. This video that we are doing with the different designers, and Steven also is helping me there in Vegas, believe it or not. And this is video that will show support for the Ukraine. And on one hand, this is a small thing, just a video with the support, but these all small things matter. And we want to support the Ukrainians also that way. So if you find this video with different designers and industry folks supporting Ukraine, share it so more people will see it and understand the problem, and we need to grow the awareness of the problem.
Absolutely. That's great. And I will be sending you some videos from Dice Tower West. Until next time, everybody, thank you for listening or watching. Bye-bye.
Take care.